All right, we're talking about Empire Strikes Back today.
Yeah.
Yeah, what are your thoughts?
What are my thoughts
What are your thoughts on Empire
on
Strikes Back?
Empire Strikes Back?
Yeah.
I mean, it is the best one. It is the most popular one for a reason. It's tough to think of a more beloved movie. I know we said that was Star Wars, but I mean, Empire Strikes Back. I think it's most people's favorite. In my experience, Return of the Jedi tends to be a lot of younger people's favorite, and I think Empire is people's favorite as kind of they grow up. I think there's a bit more depth there that appeals to people. I think it strikes a really good balance. Um, yeah, I mean it's a very strong sequel to the original Star Wars movie. It does the thing a lot of sequels do, where they'll split up the characters. Something like Lord of the Rings does, something Guardians of the Galaxy does. The second one, you take these characters that you developed as a whole, as a single unit, and you split them up so that they can each go on their own separate character arc. I think it works really well. It's a good storytelling structure. I think it enables, you get to develop some alternative relationships you might not get if all of the team is in a room together for the entire film. It's nice to see Luke on his own with R2, with Yoda. He's training, he's fighting his demons, he's encountering his father, he's facing his shadow. You get to see Han and Leia develop in an atmosphere where Luke isn't for most of the film. You get to see them talk with C-3PO. You get all of those dynamics. You get Vader, you get Palpatine. They're off, they're separate, they're doing their own thing. It's a very effective storytelling structure. I think it's why it's so often employed. Yeah. I mean, we'll have more to say about it as we get into it, but tough to think of a stronger sequel than this one. I think every other sequel copies it for a reason.
Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, I don't know if this is everyone's. This is the best one objectively. I know a lot of people have other favorite ones. Like Revenge of the Sith, you may enjoy watching more depending on who you are.
Yeah.
But like objectively speaking, this is the best one. I mean, I've heard again Revenge of the Sith. I've heard people say Rogue One is the best one.
That's such a bold
which is
claim.
crazy. And I like you'd have to hear them make the argument
No.
in order for you to understand where they're coming from.
No.
But this is the best one. It's tough because A New Hope is the one that sets the standard by just because it's the first one. But this one does something really. It starts a lot of the trends that Star Wars is known for.
Yeah.
It starts on Hoth, and you just get thrown into the story. I mean, much like A New Hope does the same thing, but you're on a planet, the characters are doing their own thing, and then they kind of split off and just go to these other planets, and that's normal. The first one was centered around something that is abnormal, which is the Death Star.
Yeah.
But you have they're on Hoth, and there's ice, and there's tauntauns, and there's a blizzard, and the Empire comes, and so they fight that battle, but then they go and they leave, and Luke goes to Dagobah with Yoda, which is kind of weird, but still kind of normal that there's a creature there that's mysterious. And then they go to a cloud city, and that's just normal too. And so you kind of just take it for granted that these characters, this is normal to them, and you're actually coming up against a threat within the world, but while seeing a lot of the weird stuff going on, that's just normal to them.
Yeah.
The first one had something similar, but you have the giant Death Star that they're also like, this is crazy.
Yeah.
Like you're sharing that ride with them, where in this one, you're just kind of along for the ride in their world.
I think this one does a really good job expanding on the world.
Yeah.
In A New Hope, you have Tatooine, the desert world. You have the Death Star, technological world.
If you have in 4.
Yeah, which is there. I mean, they don't really explore that world as much as they're inside of buildings in that world. So I'm hesitant to include that as a world that's featured significantly. But in this one, I mean, you do have Hoth, you have Dagobah, you have Cloud City. You have these really unique environments. You have them on the like asteroids.
Yeah, the asteroid field.
They hang out in space a whole lot. You get so much more of a sense of what life looks like for these characters, of what kind of societies they function in. I think it expands the world with these really novel environments. It's not sand planet, city planet. You have this frozen tundra. You have this gigantic jungle with all these horrific bugs and snakes and mysterious swamp creatures. And then you have Cloud City, which is just kind of this ethereal, strange mining
Very
city where
stark,
they
sanitized.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
very, very unique
Yeah.
in its presentation. Yeah, it's really it adds to I think the sequel that it's stylistically very strong and distinct from the first film. I think that carries it quite far.
Yeah, I agree. And what we talked about with the New Hope was Luke seems to not have a choice
Hmm.
for most of the movie until he shuts off his Navicomputer
Yes.
and just takes the shot freehand. And then Han comes back and makes the choice to stay with the rebellion and blow up the Death Star with them.
Hmm.
This movie hits you with choices.
It does.
The first part of the movie after the probe droids land on the planet. Luke goes and tries to explore the probe droid, but more importantly, Han is having to choose between staying or leaving. And then this is where you're introduced to the love triangle. I hesitate to call it that, but
Yeah.
where Leia's choosing between Luke and Han, and then Lando makes a choice at Cloud City,
Yeah.
and Luke has a choice at the end with his father. And so from start to finish, you're just overwhelmed with choices. In the cave, whenever Yoda says you don't need to take your weapons in there, and he has to choose how he fights with his or how he faces his demons,
Yeah.
and who he could become. He chooses how to interact with that. Whereas in the first movie, there's like one choice at the end.
It's true.
And in this one, you see them being faced with interesting dilemmas that they have to overcome.
Yeah, you also see them placed into conflict with one another.
Yeah.
Like Han makes the choice to stay with Luke and cut open the Tauntaun and keep him warm. Luke makes the choice to leave his training early and go and save his friends. Like you learn so much about these characters because the plot pushes them into these more high pressure scenarios where they have to make a choice that sacrifices something. And they mess up. A lot of this movie is these big mistakes. Han is frozen in carbonite, and Luke loses to his dad. He loses a hand. The rebellion's in disarray. The rebellion loses badly on Hoth. They don't regroup by the end of the film in a significant manner.
No.
You see the ships, but you don't get there's not a hopeful, optimistic sense that they'll topple the Empire.
Yeah, it's more of just what's going to
Yeah.
happen with Han
Right.
at the end of the movie. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just you're able to see them make mistakes. And I think that's something some storytellers are hesitant to do. You want to end each installment with a big win. This one, it just ends with them losing.
Yeah.
They don't win in a significant manner. Luke is set back in his personal development, in his Jedi training. He comes out of it worse, realizing that Vader is his father. Han is captured. The Empire seems omnipotent, even though the Death Star doesn't exist, which I think is an impressive balance to strike.
Yeah.
Because I feel like it's like your big bad has lost their first fight with the hero. It's tough for them to come back from that. And they managed to do it just with the Imperial fleet. They managed to create this really imposing, really strong and terrifying empire. It works really well.
Yeah, they frame the win in a different way. Like they get away from the fleet,
Mm.
and then they all, kind of collect, and Lando and Chewie go to find Han and everything. So there's a weird hope there.
Yeah.
But on paper, they lost badly.
Yeah.
Like Luke lost a limb. They lost Han. The rebellion's in disarray. So like, how are they going to come back from that? And at the end, if you're still paying attention to what happened before Luke left Dagobah with Yoda, Yoda says, and this whole thing with Yoda, like lore wise, is very interesting. Like you have the cave and you have all the predictions that Yoda makes. Like he says, if you go and rescue your friends, you'll tarnish their legacy. Everything they fought for won't matter anymore. And then at the end, you're kind of dealing with Luke's choice, where he seems like he's more focused on what's right in front of him. But in the broader lens, what repercussions are his actions going to have? Yeah. What would have happened if he had stayed on Cloud City, or stayed on Dagobah and not gone to Cloud City?
Right.
It's like, I don't know. That's a deep lore question to ask. That gets really into the weeds really fast. Like, does Yoda mean that, like, oh, that's why the sequel trilogy plays out the way it does, because Han and Leia have been, and he should have just let things play out the way that they did. Maybe Han's stuck on the wall forever, or, Leia gets thrown in prison and they never actually get married or something like, or Yoda was just wrong. That's the most common explanation, is like, yeah, he just was wrong about that. Yeah. Like Yoda often is. But yeah, I don't know. That's the lore side of me. That's
Hmm,
like that's still an open question at the end,
it is.
because he decided to leave without completing his training, and in the end, it seems like it works out. But
You even get some interesting developments for some of the side characters. I really like, you see Chewie responding poorly to Han being frozen in carbonite and taken away. C3PO is broken. They're carrying around him in the backpack. R2D2 gets a lot more screen time. Well, maybe not more screen time, but I think some more moments of choice
mhm.
as well. You see him fight with Yoda, I think, which goes a long way to displaying his personality. You see him reunite with the others on Cloud City. Like, there's just all these little character touches throughout. They develop all of these characters so well. I don't think anybody's really neglected.
Yeah, I don't think so
Hmm.
either. I think Lando's a really interesting character.
Yeah.
They before Solo even, he was just like, Han and him have some history. Han took the Falcon, and then he chooses to let Vader take, instead of taking over Cloud City, he gets Han and Leia, and then he
Hmm.
chooses to join them, seemingly out of nowhere. Except for
Yeah.
he sees that Vader's never going to stop unless he does something. He keeps changing the
Hmm.
terms of the deal and everything. So, and
Yeah,
he's introduced, and he
Lando.
immediately has an interesting choice to make.
Yes, that is exactly what I was going to say. I think the film is really strong because of its restraint. It introduces all these fascinating new worlds, but really only one new character,
Mm-hmm.
which is Lando. And it introduces him in this really interesting way where Han is hesitant to meet him. There's some bad blood between him. It's not really evident what it is. He gets there, it's evident that it's the Falcon. And yeah, Lando is immediately thrown into the frying pan. He has to make a choice. And you get to determine very quickly who he is. It's oh, he's a little bit weak-willed. Oh, but then he's making this decision for the sake of his city. Oh, but he realizes that he can't because the Empire will destroy the city anyways, and now he's on their side. Like, he goes through this whole arc in just the second half of the film when he's introduced. It's a very effective introduction to the character. He's a welcome addition to the cast that shows you a perspective that I think is missing from the first film. There's no character in the first film, in A New Hope that is, that tells you really how does the average person, like the average politician, the average city dweller, cope with existing in the Empire. Every character in A New Hope is either with the Empire wholeheartedly. They're a stormtrooper, they're in the army, they're in the navy, or they are a rebel fighting in the rebellion, or they're a criminal,
Yeah,
which sets them against the Empire.
and both sides really.
Yeah, so it's not a problem with the first film, because again we discussed, like, the first film, it has this like anti-colonial resistance narrative of this asymmetrical warfare against this British Empire essentially. So it's not an issue. You don't need to explore how the average Victorian feels about British colonialism in your film about British colonialism. And you don't need to show what the average bureaucrat experiences as part of the empire. But I think Lando does provide that perspective, and I think it works really well for a sequel, because you're developing the world, you're developing the characters. He offers a new perspective.
And
I
if it,
guess
and it feels natural.
it
At the end,
does.
it feels like, how are they going to escape? And it's only
Yeah.
because of Lando that they're able to escape.
And I guess I misspoke a little bit. They introduce Yoda as well. He's a
Yeah,
significant new character.
yeah.
I guess I think of him separately, even though he does offer a new perspective on the world. He offers an alternative perspective on the Jedi, on Luke's situation, on the Empire. He's a different way of coping with it. I think Lando and Yoda are kind of opposites
I
in a
agree.
way,
I agree.
where Yoda, he retreats and does his own thing. He stays pure. Um, but Lando, he compromises and he stays a member of society. He is not a hermit. He is not retreating. Um, and I think that Lando ends the film almost in a better place than Yoda does.
Oh, absolutely.
I think Yoda's inaction is why I sometimes
Well,
fail to identify him as a
Yoda is
character.
such an interest. Like,
He's more an idea or a prop
I
in this film, I
have
feel.
I've always like, I have to hold myself back from getting into too deep in the weeds in the lore. But Yoda choosing to be on the sidelines is wild to me.
Yeah.
When you look at the whole span of the story, we were talking about Empire released way before the other stuff that gives more context, but like, he is just the wise old instructor
Yeah.
to Luke, and Luke still chooses to do his own thing. Luke eats. I mean, I really don't want to make this comparison, but it's very similar to Luke in The Last Jedi.
Mm.
Whenever Rey still chooses to go do her own thing.
That's the intended comparison, though.
I know.
I mean, that's what they're going for in that film.
But in that one, Rey just seems kind of. I don't like Luke either in that one. Like Yoda in this one seems at least a little bit more logical. Like it doesn't make sense for Luke to go fight Vader right now, just on paper. I just don't like Luke in The Last Jedi. And it's like Yoda's not. I don't like Yoda very much either. But just from like a character level, he just makes some choices that get thousands of people killed in other movies.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, I don't know. Like Luke still makes his own choices at the end. Yoda helps guide him, and Ben even is there as a ghost saying, "Don't do this," and he says, "I'm gonna do it anyway."
Yeah.
And then Ben's like, "Okay, fine. Trust in yourself. You'll be fine." That type of deal. So
I feel like Yoda plays a very indirect role in Luke's mentorship. Like she shows him that he can lift the X-wing out of the swamp.
Mhm.
But beyond that, he's kind of just cagey with information. He's riding on his back. He's whacking him with a stick. Like it's a very indirect style of training. It's more developing the attitudes, the mindset, and the willingness to face your shadow. You know, the stark part of yourself. When he fights Vader in the Dagobah illusion, and he cuts open the mask and it's his face inside, I think it's a really effective visual language for expressing like the temptation of the dark side, but also this connection of Vader is his father. It's this very good character development and foreshadowing. But I think the Dagobah sections often feel more like Luke facing himself than
yeah.
him encountering a mentor.
Well, and that's just. I'm gonna do it. That's just how Yoda's teaching style is.
It is.
Like in previous pieces of media, Yoda trains Count Dooku. Dooku trains Qui-Gon. Qui-Gon trains Obi-Wan. Obi-Wan trains Anakin and Ahsoka. And then Obi-Wan eventually trains Luke. Well, Yoda, whenever he trains Count Dooku, like it doesn't go well. Like however Yoda did it was not the way that Count Dooku needed to be trained. And like it almost seems like in episode 2 when Yoda's like training the younglings, where he's not their master. He's just kind of like, this is a lesson I need to teach you. And the problem is whenever he trains apprentices, he just always is moving from one lesson to another with no relationship at all.
Yeah.
And so Luke just has this green being like who doesn't even really talk about his dad. Like Ben at least like, oh, I knew your father, served with him in the Clone Wars. This is what he was like. Yoda's just kind of screaming lessons at him.
Yeah.
And so he's like, okay, fine. We lifted the ship. I'm going to get out of here. Whatever. It's fine. I'll listen to Ben a little bit, but we're done.
Okay.
I'll come back. It's fine. Whenever I need whenever I need to level up to get to the next boss, I'll come back.
Yeah, I think Yoda, whereas Lando, he's put into this really interesting conundrum right away. I think the most interesting choice Yoda has made is his decision to isolate himself on Dagobah, which is a choice that he made a long time ago by the time we meet him in this film. I think what we get with Yoda in this film, it's a little bit contradictory. Not that that's a problem. People are complex.
Yeah.
But Yoda, he's a recluse from society. He's not fighting the Empire. But when he meets with Luke, he's really insistent on, hey, you need to go fight the Empire, and you need to go do it the right way. I think maybe, I guess I would have anticipated Yoda to be more discouraged. I could see him slipping into a mindset of, like, you probably shouldn't fight the Empire. You should go away to a planet where nobody will find you.
I think
because that's what he did.
I think that there's this weird mix of guilt. That's why Obi-Wan is just he's my favorite because he's such a tragic character.
Yeah.
And he feels like he does everything right and still everything goes so wrong and it's his fault. Both him and Yoda have this tragic element to them where they feel guilty for what happened, but they both failed in one way or another. Yoda actually failed and lost against Sidious, and Obi-Wan failed by losing and thinking he killed his student. And so they feel like this new hope that they have in Luke and Leia are going to be the ones to do it. And so they're just here to guide them and guide them in a way different than how they guided Anakin.
Yeah.
And they're going to be the ones to write it because the only way to get through from like past Vader into Anakin is through his kids.
Mm.
And so it's this weird thing where they're like, we can't go face because Obi-Wan and Yoda surely could have done something.
Yeah.
They could have taken on the Emperor at some point.
It's very easy to imagine a version of A New Hope where Obi-Wan and Yoda go into the Death Star and blow it up.
There's a realistic possibility that we get 30 more minutes of Revenge of the Sith and they just go face Palpatine. Both of them.
Yeah, there's very little reason for them not to, honestly.
Yeah, it gets into the weeds
I
because
think it works. It works for the guilt of the characters, for the place that they're at.
Yes.
They want to protect the kids. That shifts to their top priority.
Well, and it's the code.
But also
and it's the
like,
Jedi code.
Obi-Wan kind of protects both kids. Yoda's not really protecting a kid. He is off, and the canon explanation is, well, Yoda's off doing Force stuff.
Force stuff.
He's off
just like Obi-Wan, while he's
facing
protecting Luke.
ghosts and spirits and traveling through the Force realms and doing all of this incredible stuff. And it's like, that's great. He never uses that to fight the Empire or to teach Luke very well. The lessons that he gives Luke are not something that a 900-year-old guy needed 20 more years to figure out.
Yeah, it's like the final it's like the final contradiction with the Jedi, because whenever, Windu tries to kill Palpatine, that's obviously against the Jedi code.
Yeah.
Obi-Wan taking on Anakin, it's like, well, that seems like it's probably against the Jedi code as well. So Yoda and Obi-Wan come to the conclusion that they're not going to be the ones to do it. But until they don't go and fight Palpatine again. They have to protect the kids or whatever.
Yeah.
But he definitely tells Luke, you need to go face your dad. And he's not thinking, hey, you need to bring him to the light side.
Yeah.
That's not what he's thinking. And that's not what Luke's thinking either. Luke's not going there to turn his father in episode 5.
No,
that's a very uniquely the last film. That's his whole mission. And so it's almost like, everyone gets a break
towards redemption. It only happens when he learns he's his dad.
Yes.
When he thinks Vader's a random guy, he's like, oh, I'm going to go kill that guy.
Yeah, which is even worse that Yoda's sending him there to kill his father without telling him that it's his dad.
Yeah.
Another selective withholding of information, which is part of what turned Anakin to the dark side. By withholding information and having distrust that was just always there, and Anakin could sense it in every conversation he was in.
Yeah.
That's what turned him in the first place. So it's like Yoda never learns. And Obi-Wan's part of it too. He's taking his cues from Yoda, but still, Obi-Wan's just as bad in that sense.
I think maybe the issue is that we're analyzing this through the lens of Yoda. Like it doesn't always make the most sense, I think, for Yoda's character to do these things.
Yeah.
If we're looking at this film in terms of when it released, I know if you historically situate yourself and you cut out the tens of thousands of hours of your life that you have spent reading Star Wars
tens
books
of thousands of hours.
And watching the prequels.
I'm not that big of a Star Wars fan.
Tens of thousands? It seems kind of high. It's a little higher than the average guy.
I'm not that big. I'm not.
I think I'll let that point rest. We'll let the audience decide.
You're right. No,
we'll
you
let
are right.
them decide.
That's the thing. That's why I've said I am Star Wars is the thing I'm biased against, only because I view every single piece of media set within the universe. It is very difficult for me to pull this out. And like, I've seen the Clone Wars probably like 8 times. It is very difficult for me to pull this thing out and be like, Yoda, you did this before and it went horribly wrong.
Right.
And you didn't learn. But of course, that's not Yoda.
Yeah.
Historically, in our timeline, Yoda did that stuff first. So,
but if you just view this film as you watched A New Hope, 77, 1980,
yes,
you're seated in the theater, it makes total sense for Luke to meet this kind of person.
Yeah.
He gets to meet a Jedi with experience who clings to the slightly outdated, from the audience's point of view, from Luke's point of view, from the Empire's point of view, religious practices and Jedi code. You get to see him do esoteric stuff with the Force. You get to see him push Luke to resist the dark side and to go to the light side. and you see him push him towards a confrontation with the main villain of the story. That is what a mentor character should do. It makes total sense for Yoda to do all of those things. I think it makes a little bit less sense with the connective tissue of the prequels and all of the information that we have to draw on now. But I think if you're an audience member in 1980, I think Yoda is a good character who we don't see make any significant choices in the film outside of withholding the information that Vader is Luke's dad.
Yeah.
And we don't get any indication for why Yoda withholds that information. For so many of the other characters, right? Like Luke goes back to fight Vader because he wants to save his friends. Han chooses to save Luke and to stay with the rebellion because he cares about his friends. Lando chooses to rat out Han because he's trying to protect the city. Like for Yoda, it's he hides that Vader is Luke's dad because we don't know.
There's speculation, like
There's no
the
reason
best,
given.
the best,
Not in the film.
the best reason that you can give is that Obi-Wan cared, and that's why Anakin isn't dead. He couldn't finish the job. He thought he was dead.
you can reason your way into that.
There's you can really like but then that means that Yoda learned his lesson. And I think if you look at the way Yoda acts in this film, it's part of his character. I think it does kind of make sense for Yoda's character if you take it into the whole grand scope.
Yeah.
That Yoda is so stubborn. He will not change. And that's why he dies in episode 6. Ben's gone.
Yeah.
Yoda's gone. Luke's all that's left. And he's building this new, in the extended universe or whatever, he builds this new Jedi Order that doesn't look like the old one.
Right.
The old guys are gone. And so even in universe, what Yoda does makes sense for his character, even if it's contradictory and old-fashioned and it's not going to work in this new reality they find themselves in.
Yeah. I guess the added context makes it a bit more perplexing. Because like Ben couldn't finish the job. Yoda knows he couldn't finish the job. Ben knows he couldn't finish the job. So they send Luke to go finish the job?
They send Luke.
He's less mature?
They send
less
Luke
trained?
to reach Anakin. And Anakin, as the chosen one, will bring balance to the Force.
That seems a bit calloused.
Well, of course.
I mean, the Jedi, they're calloused. They haven't learned their lesson.
Well, and they
in a
don't
lot
believe
of
that
ways.
Anakin be redeemed. Anakin can be redeemed. So...
What was the plan if Luke died? Like, what was their game plan?
I don't know.
The old game plan.
Like Anakin... So this is another thing, like...
I
don't know. Like, then you get into what does balance mean? Because that determines what they believe balance mean. Like doing away with the Sith, does that mean balance? That seems like light's here and darkness is here. That's not really balanced. But it kind of informs like, oh, if Anakin kills Palpatine, well, I guess they would have to believe that Anakin's redeemable then.
It's unclear.
Do they have faith in the Chosen One or do they not? Do they think Luke's the Chosen One now because Anakin fell?
Do they think the prophecy even matters? Or is it just this thing of like, hey, go kill the guy who's causing all the problems?
I don't think that they think, because Mason in episode 3 is like, or no, Yoda says the prophecy could have been misread.
Yeah.
Or the first, in episode 1. I think it's in episode 1.
I think it's a little bit of like, hey, this dude, he's ruler of the universe. He's the head honcho for all of the problems in the galaxy. Go kill that guy. I think that makes sense.
And I guess there is this natural thing of like, the teacher has to let their student, it's their time now. You kind of just have to believe it. And he tells
for like a week.
He tells Luke not to go.
They train for like a week.
He tells him not to go. He says, you're not ready. He says you're not. And then Luke is clearly leaving. And so he gives him whatever advice he can. And you really think
he's
that if
withholding information.
If he told, okay, so let's
he
say
didn't
that's
give
true.
Luke enough information to make the informed choice.
Let's say that's true.
Don't go because Vader's your dad. Sorry, I'm telling you now. That's a different
movie.
movie.
Does Luke not go?
Movie. I think
he still goes. There's no shot he doesn't go.
I think he still goes, and I think that the reason they don't do that is because it's most emotionally impactful for Luke to discover that information when he's fighting Vader. That is why that scene is so impactful.
Well, I just think
it's why it's iconic. It's the most famous, most well-known scene in the entire Star Wars saga.
Yes.
Because it is this visceral, emotional revelation coupled with the climax of the film.
No, I
think it makes total sense for him to discover it there, even if we have to put up with the bullcrap of Yoda being like,
I don't know if it's bullcrap though.
I'm fine, and I don't think
it's bullcrap though, because do you really want him to go in with the most emotionally rocking information going into a duel with Vader? Someone who Obi-Wan knows almost killed him. Like, you don't want to send the 19-year-old kid, the 20-year-old kid, knowing, hey, the guy you're about to fight is your dad, and he's trying to kill your friends. Whenever he thought he didn't have a dad.
Do you
Like,
think...
I don't know. Like, and this goes to, is it worth lying to somebody to protect them in a certain situation, or tell them the truth no matter how much it hurts, regardless of what situation?
It's a tough...
Like, that's a tough conversation to have, even if he's not going to go fight his dad. Do you tell him that his dad is the murderer of trillions of people, of billions of people?
Yeah.
You know, he killed all the Jedi. Like, do you tell him that at all, let alone right before he's about to face him?
I think it's interesting how that information is presented to Vader in the film. Because Vader, he does just get told. Which is strange.
Well, which I feel like he would
Palpatine is
know,
just-
first of all.
He's just saying, like, hey, your kids are alive. And it's the guy you hate.
It makes sense if you watch Kenobi.
Dear gosh. Nobody's watching Kenobi.
No. It makes sense in the sense that no. Forget about Kenobi. That was a joke.
Done.
That was yeah. I know you had already forgotten about it.
Already done.
But in some established lore, some that will not be named, you have Vader has killed Anakin. That is the thing that you see consistently, that in comics, in some TV shows, in books, he is consistently talking about Vader and Anakin as two separate people,
right?
And he's trying to do his best to kill Anakin. So whenever he hears something that would be like world-rocking news to Anakin, he has to suppress that because Anakin's gone.
Yeah.
And so that's the constant suppression. And that's where
true.
it climaxes with Luke finally getting past Vader and reaching Anakin. And Anakin makes the choice to overthrow the Emperor.
Yeah, and Vader, he does say in the duel in Empire, like, I am your father. So it's an acknowledgement that he is Anakin. And I think that it is a critical moment for Vader.
Yeah, that's true.
To identify as Anakin in that way.
But it's twisted by Vader by saying we can overthrow the Emperor and rule the galaxy. Like,
yeah.
So there's that weird he rationalizes his relationship with Anakin by saying I can use this through Vader. Like, Vader has a use for this information.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
So and then that means that Vader
step.
has a impactful moment. Like, he has a key milestone that he reaches in this movie.
Yeah, I've never thought about it that way. That like there's a climax to Vader's arc in this film. It's that identification with Anakin. I think it's interesting how Palpatine and Vader are, at least within the confines of this film, squarely on the side of like, you should tell the truth.
Yeah, isn't that crazy?
You should be honest.
And then the Jedi
Be
aren't.
honest with the people that you love. It's such a baffling state of affairs. I get that, it's weakened by Palpatine lying to him for the 18, 20 years, however old the kids are. That like, hey, your kids are alive. Like, I'm not pretending that Palpatine's always honest with them.
No, he's not. He's not.
Not saying that at all.
And he
I'm
wants
saying
Luke to become his apprentice, too.
Oh, absolutely.
Whoever's strongest between Vader and Luke. Whoever wins that fight.
So he is a liar. He's super malicious. He's constantly pitting people against each other. However, within this specific film, Empire Strikes Back, Vader and Palpatine are both just telling the truth all the time.
They're like 2 for 2, and Yoda and Obi-Wan are like 0 for 1,000,000.
Yeah. The kings of not telling the truth, of keeping their mouth shut when they should probably give information. It just
that's why I said I don't like Obi-Wan is hard for me to really like.
Dynamic.
Yeah, it's really hard for me to like in these movies, even though I love them in other pieces of media pre the original trilogy, because he hasn't learned. Like, he's very sympathetic in the other films, and he's very very sympathetic in the Clone Wars with what happens there.
Yeah,
but then here he clearly hasn't learned.
You know what I think might help explain some of that? I think if we got like an 8-episode Disney Plus show on what Yoda was doing between episode 3 and episode 5, I think that would clear everything up.
You think that would clear everything up?
Everything.
They did. Well, not between then. They was season 6 of the Clone Wars.
That is not in the time period that I just laid out.
But he's doing.
That's a completely separate
even
thing.
Worse because he's doing the exact same thing they said he was doing between episodes 3 and 5, and he did that then. Saw Palpatine and Anakin fighting each other.
I think,
and still was like, I need more time.
What if we just did that again? That arc from the Clone Wars, if we just copy and pasted it into that time period, but we did it in live action, so it's a real person show.
Yeah, but it's shot for shot.
It's shot for shot.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's the 1-to-1 map of the nation.
But we repeatedly referenced scenes from the animated one, except instead of setting it in the scene from the animated show, we set it in like this gray cloud background where nothing was visible except for the costumes of the characters.
Well, yeah, and it's worse because Yoda doesn't even have armor.
Yeah,
So you don't
he's
even get the
just wearing like
nostalgia.
the same robes.
You just get the same. You get Yoda.
They bust out
in
like
the desert.
the Phantom Menace puppet specifically.
I would love it because they're on a budget.
He's CGI for the rest of it.
I think that's
it's
fine.
just the flashbacks that he's the puppet.
I think that's totally fine.
Yeah.
And just say, look, you have all these other shows like Mandalorian Grogu. Ooh, that's so awesome. How about, like, give me $3 million, no CGI, just the puppet, and we'll see which one holds up better.
Yeah.
I think that's a great idea.
I think the worst thing about Empire Strikes Back is how it hasn't spawned enough 8-episode Disney Plus shows.
I think you're right. I think you're right by itself, single-handedly.
We need a Lando show. We need a Yoda show. We need
a show of Luke in the hut for the 6 months, or the 18 months, whatever it is, between 5 and 6.
Yeah,
but it's nonstop.
Nonstop.
It's just like a camera in the hut.
That's a good plan.
And that's it.
Yeah, I think that could really work.
Somehow, still 8 episodes.
Eight episodes. They're long episodes.
We'll figure that out.
Fine. People like long content now.
Yeah.
Anything else we want to say about this film?
Yes. The Millennium Falcon, I really like the Millennium Falcon in this movie.
Yes.
It represents the fragility of the Empire and the fragility of the character's situation.
Yeah.
They're constantly having to fix the Falcon.
Mm.
It's almost falling apart the entire time.
It's true.
And they just have to hold it together with duct tape and try to get it to where they need to go. And it holds together, but just barely.
Yeah.
You know, like C-3PO falls apart and he's holding it together just barely. You know, Han's just barely alive.
Yeah.
You know, Luke just barely survives Vader. Like everything is by the skin of their teeth.
It is.
Through the whole thing. So
it's fascinating the way that they maintain the tension through every arc by just having it be the bare minimum that they can survive. Right? Like it's constant tension. They're constantly pushed to their limit. You constantly think the character is about to die or it has died. Just the whole time it's really well done.
Yeah.
This isn't necessarily a praise for the film. This is just an observation. Lando has a right-hand man with a computer in his brain named Lobot. Lobotomy.
The bot. Yes.
I didn't realize it. I didn't realize it. That was important to point out.
Lobotomy.
Lando, for all of his virtues,
did he do that to him?
Lobotomized a guy.
Did he do that to him?
I have no idea. It's probably
if Lando gave that guy a lobotomy.
Yeah, see, it makes you reconsider things. Maybe he doesn't need an 8-episode Disney Plus TV show.
I want to see the entire lobotomy.
I just think it's worth pointing out. You know, it's sketchy at best.
Oh, he did. Oh, okay. Don't you love AI so much? The first thing that pops up is that Lando Calrissian did not personally perform the surgery. Thanks. Thanks, Google AI overview. Give me an actual article here. This is really important.
That's something I'm certain that a comic has explained at some point in time. It's probably been retconned like 4 times. There were the people in Solo who just had their heads cut off at the eyes, right above the nose, and they just had like the flat computer units there. They worked for like the drug smugglers though, so you got the sense that that was bad. But Lobot is probably fine because he still has his face. That's apparently the dividing line.
So, hold on.
It's inconclusive, apparently.
He had, so this thing says that he had his implants and then he was wounded and then his implants took over. So I'm trying to figure out when did he get his implants. I think the Empire gave it to him.
Feels like a cop out.
because he was hired by the Empire to do battlefield calculations, and so that seems like he got it from there.
Why would you do that to a human though? Like this isn't Dune.
Hey,
this isn't Dune. You don't need an excuse. They have computers. They have droids. Like this is something you could give to C-3PO, right? Just like why do it to a guy? We don't have any other examples of people doing that to somebody. I mean, I guess you do in some of the Disney Plus shows, like the roboticizing people.
Yeah, it says
the robotic limbs, but just like the cognitive part of it, I guess. We don't see the cognitive expansions with robot tech.
all it says is
Not that I can think of.
he was a human from Bespin who, with the assistance of his cyborg construct, was paid to run battlefield calculations for the Empire. So he had him before. All I know is that he had him before.
I guess there's the spider guy. There's a spider guy in the Clone Wars. Comes back with like the half robot head.
Oh, Trench.
Yes.
Yes.
Trench.
Yep.
Had the camouflage ship.
He dies twice, dude.
Yes. That's rough.
He dies. Spoiler.
It's rough.
Admiral Trench fans out there. It's Trench and Shelob for a lot of people. Those are the two favorite the fictional characters. Something about the spiders. Sorry to spoil half of your fandom there, but he dies twice.
I don't know. Maybe there are more examples of these robot cognitive people, and I'm just drawing a blank right now. There's the one from Solo. There's Trench. There's Lobot.
I'm trying to think. Well, I guess the clones.
Clones. That's biological.
Yeah, but it's still they call it the chips. So it's like it's
though.
chips that have to have
I hate
the biology of the humans.
I hate it.
Like
just let it be
their bodies have to click with the chip, or else the chip will just get rejected and it'll just kill the clone.
Do you think there's a significant difference between cloning and making somebody a cyborg? Either way, you're programming somebody. You're programming their body to operate in certain ways. Do you think there's a meaningful distinction there?
A meaningful Oh man. I mean, why are you putting implants inside of, like, robotic implants inside of somebody? Is it to save their life?
Or that's what I'm curious about with Lobot.
Or is it because of augmentation? Because in his case, he got gravely wounded. He already had the implants, and he was trying to fight the implants from taking over his mind. And the implants just won. I think
that's a bad place to be.
I understand.
It's a bad place to be.
But he also had a pretty cushy job because of the implants, because he was able to do calculations at like an incredible speed. The cloning thing is
Lando's not asking you to do.
He runs the day-to-day operations.
You're a calculator.
Effortlessly.
You're a calculator.
Yes.
You are a human calculator.
Yeah.
You have been lobotomized.
Yes.
Into a human calculator.
Yes.
That's an ethical failure.
It sucks
for Lando.
But I don't know if that's Lando's fault. Because if he didn't put him in there and he just met Lobot and he had these in his
once he was a human, are obligated to use it.
He was a human with the robotic enhancements, and then whenever he was gravely wounded, either the implant saved his life, or
I don't see how that saves your life.
I don't know. I don't know if it's like he would have died if the robot just didn't take over his biological functions or something. I don't know. I don't know enough about it.
We'll need to read up on that.
We'll need to look into that.
I'm interested.
Yeah.
I legitimately don't think Lando is at fault for that.
I don't think so
I'm
either.
playing devil's advocate for the sake of conversation.
I do want to explore the cloning thing more though. Like, and there's a whole movie about it called Attack of the Clones, but which we'll do at some point. But
my favorite thing about Attack of the Clones is how at no point does anybody say, "Hey, Sifo Dyas might be Sidious." Never comes up.
Well, why
Nobody
would he?
connects it.
Why would they think that Sifo Dyas is Sidious?
Because Dooku goes up to Obi-Wan and goes, "My master, Sidious, commissioned all the clones and runs the government."
It says he runs the government.
Again, the villains are real honest.
Did they find Sifo Dyas' body?
No.
Really?
No.
Did they not?
They have that arc in the Clone Wars where they're like, "Oh, Dooku
that's right.
Sifo
That's right.
Dyas." What? That's crazy. It's like, why is Dooku Sifo? Just make it Sidious. Like, what is the concept of using a fake name?
Well, they didn't.
And it's your boss's real name.
You have the Jedi Council. I know. I get that. I hear you. I hear you. But this is the same Jedi Council. This is the same Jedi Council who said that Count Dooku couldn't possibly be a murderer.
The villains, they're real honest. The Sith are nothing if not honest. They tell you point blank what they're doing. The Jedi do not. Therefore, Empire Strikes Back is one of the great heroic triumphs of modern cinema. the heroes defeat the rebels and restore balance to the galaxy and order, and the bureaucracy is running again, and all the inefficient rebels and local government officials have been replaced with lobotomized imperial scum and I mean patriots.
Patriots
Imperial
for the Grand Empire.
imperial soldiers,
Mm.
imperial officers, I think is what I'm looking for.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a good time.
I like
good time.
the
Great film.
this is a small thing, but the power struggle within the Imperial Navy with Vader around.
Mm,
Like
yes.
everyone, no one wants to be in charge.
And he's killing people all the time.
That's crazy.
All the time.
Yeah, and then he gets frustrated whenever they don't succeed. But it's weird because like you have in Andor, everyone wants to be in charge. Everyone's scared of failure, but they still want to move up the ranks. No one around Vader wants to be the next guy up.
Well, in Andor, they're not getting constantly murked for minor mistakes. Like, that's a uniquely Vader thing. Vader's the guy going around killing people for being incompetent at their job occasionally.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody else in Andor, it's like, well, you're fired. It's like, that's not the end of the world. You know, Deidre gets, like, spoilers for Andor. If you haven't seen it, you should go watch it. But, like, Deidre messes up badly at her job and gets arrested and spends presumably the rest of her life in prison. It's like, it's better than death.
It sucks.
Like, but you get it's clear how you can improve your career greatly by being loyal to the Empire and Andor. You can benefit a lot if you just steady the ship. But in Empire, it's like, if you're not catching these guys, you're dead. You have like 6 hours. Baffling stuff.
Yeah.
The bounty hunters don't, though. He doesn't kill the bounty hunters. They're free to do their own thing. He doesn't kill Boba Fett because Boba Fett's good at his job. I think it's an imperial triumph. Outsourcing labor.
Well, and it's weird. It's weird because Vader doesn't, in this movie, he doesn't seem to harbor the same racism. He just values results.
Yeah.
Like it's like Boba Fett's a clone. He's a human. Like, I get that.
Right.
But he's willing to be like, if any of you bounty hunters can bring him in, I don't care. I don't care if it's Bosk.
But he is
go ahead.
He's a clone, and like there's a stigma around clones.
But Vader liked the clones.
Vader liked the clones.
Or Anakin liked the clones.
The Empire's super racist. And
yes.
Vader's just bringing in all these guys, all these bounty hunters.
Yes.
They're there to make sweet action figures. Totally succeeded.
Yes.
Incredible designs all around. But yeah, Vader, he maybe Vader is just this progressive Stalin-esque figure who just believes in this interracial paradise society, and he's just whatever it takes. He's burning all of the imperial ranks. He's purging it of racists, of inefficient people, and all that's going to be left are his crack team of bounty hunters who get people the first time.
Is he just realizing that like racists are just ineffective?
Probably.
In the imperial regime.
I legitimately think that if Vader became the emperor, he would relax considerably the regulations against aliens. I get that he kills a lot of aliens in like the comics and stuff, but that's because they're the Inquisitors, and they're like, oh, we want the Inquisitors to have a fun design. It's like, he's not killing them because they're aliens, he's killing them because that's the story. It's like, I think Vader doesn't care that much. I think he thinks their racism is a little silly. I think he values results. He has no great ambitions to improve society. He has no benevolent feelings towards anyone.
Nope.
But I think if he finds an alien who can get the job done, he's employing said alien. I think that's what we see with the bounty hunter scene. Hey, you're like 8 of the worst guys ever. Go find these people for me. It's effective. I think it's a valuable insight into Vader's character. And the sense is that he is high up in the Empire, but he might disagree with key parts of its culture. And that maybe he gets some of that from the Emperor. Like, maybe there's parts of the culture that are dictated by the Emperor.
Oh, I think everything is. I think everything is.
And Vader's kind of stuck between that.
Yeah.
Or maybe it's just to show that, like, this virulent racism permeates Imperial society, and no matter how many people Vader kills, the next guy always is some white British dude.
Yeah, and like it's always so hard to tell with Palpatine and Sidious. Like, is he racist because he's racist, or is he racist because it's useful?
Yeah, it's really unclear.
Yeah, I'm sure somewhere in books or comics they answer that question. But Palpatine consistently does things that are just the most effective way to get what he wants done.
He has alien apprentices, like non-human.
Yeah.
He is Maul. He learned from Plagueis. Like,
Yeah, it's like the racism
Yeah.
is just, it's used to keep people in line and to keep cohesion for the people that run his empire.
yeah.
And it's for them, is what it seems like.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't put it past the evil emperor to be racist. I hate to love accusations.
That is a very funny thing where people are like, "Oh, this is Satan. They're the fascist dictator devil," but they would never be sexist.
No, misogyny.
They'd never do any of the bad crimes. They probably would actually.
Actually, it's probably not out of the realm of possibility.
Yeah, like
shocker.
He blew up a planet
with a lot of women on
he's
it.
Probably,
with a lot of women on
he's
it.
probably okay with misogyny. He's probably a little
Yes.
racist.
Yes.
He probably is.
He probably is.
Yeah.
But
I
still don't know if he's racist though.
You know the funniest thing about this? I guarantee you that basically zero thought was put into this.
No, absolutely.
I guarantee you
100%
that the most thought that was ever put into this was, yeah, the villains, they're basically the British Empire. And then somebody came along later and was like, you know what would make a really cool design for a toy? How can we get this guy in the film? And where he's on screen, but he doesn't have to do anything.
He doesn't have to move.
Yeah,
he can just stand there and kind of.
Right, yes.
He doesn't need anything moving. He just needs to hold a gun.
Yeah, we're analyzing it like, oh, what does this reveal about Vader
It's because
and the Emperor? What does this reveal about the characters and the world? It's like, this basically reveals what they thought would make for a sweet toy. And it did make for a sweet toy.
If we're going to overthink anything, it's going to be Star Wars.
That's fair.
It's going to be.
I just think it's funny. It goes to show how you can make meaning out of things that are almost certainly just business decisions to sell toys.
I know. And that's what makes this so incredible. You know what I mean? You can gain meaning out of just sheer unadulterated capitalism. Like that's what this was about, and I'm left here trying to pick up the pieces.
I think we all should work to be as anti-racist as Darth Vader is.
Yeah. I think that's good.
I think what would be really healthy for society is if we analyzed that scene in the absence of all of the other scenes and used it to signal moral superiority over other people on Twitter who like problematic villains. I think
because Vader's not problematic.
He's not problematic. I think selectively analyzing the character and only emphasizing the parts that I agree with.
Yes.
Is something that would give us the ability to be really obnoxious in public debates.
Because otherwise we're not obnoxious. We have to acquire this new skill.
That's not the point I was trying to make.
But I'm trying to be a little charitable.
I like Vader. I like him. He's
really good in this movie.
He's reprehensible.
He's really good in this movie.
He's brutal. He's really interesting, and you see that tension with he discovers Luke is his son. You see him grapple with that. You see him interact with other people. I think it's really fascinating. I think he opens up the world by bringing in these bounty hunters. I think it's really, really well done.
Yeah.
And I think, Empire Strikes Back, one of the things that I think is really its strength is that it is not a very sanitized film. It is willing to go places that are uncomfortable. Does Han die? Are you okay to see the main character lose horribly?
Are you okay with seeing the main character kiss his sister? Twice, actually.
Okay.
It happens twice. In this movie, it happens twice.
I'm trying to make meaning out of this.
I know, but I thought we should.
Incoherent ramblings about Vader being good and positive in any way, shape, or form.
Okay, no, you're right. You're right. What about Leia? What do you think about Leia?
Leia doesn't get enough in this film. We get a lot of Luke being a Jedi. We get a lot of Han being a smuggler and a criminal who works in the underbelly of society. It would make a lot of sense for there to be an arc that focuses on Leia doing political things.
Yeah.
We don't get that.
No.
Leia doesn't really get an arc. Closest thing she has to an arc or like a crisis, like Han faces Lando, and that gets him imprisoned in carbonite, maybe killed. It's unclear at the time of the release. Luke faces his dad. Leia's crisis is like losing her romantic interest. It's like, that's not the climax of her arc is the climax of somebody else's arc. Like,
Yeah.
she doesn't get an arc that's her own. So while I think Empire, it does a good job with developing a lot of the characters, I think Leia's the one that it sidelines.
Well, and then
It
they
makes up for that a bit, I think, in the sixth one, but very unevenly. She gets a lot more emphasis.
They immediately
a
go
lot
for
more to do.
If you were going to be
but it's
charitable,
not good.
if you were going to be charitable to George Lucas and the team, like,
Yeah.
you'd be like, okay, 4 and 5, it's like neither good, neither bad, whatever. And then they just open with like, this is not how you deal with female characters and try to,
Right.
give them their own story, their own arc.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's like they were not thinking about how do we make sure Leia has a good independent arc. That's not just like as a
yeah.
result of other people's arc or choices.
And I think one of the things, we can talk more about this when we get to Return of the Jedi, but it's like the love triangle is resolved by factors outside Leia's control.
Mhm.
So the choice that would theoretically give us the most insight to who she is as a character is removed from her.
Mhm.
Again, it's more of a third movie thing, but I think it is a weakness of the
Now,
trilogy.
I do like her on Hoth. She kind of gives the speech to the pilots before they go to battle. There's an emphasis on her importance at the base, and Han is kind of with her because he cares about her and he won't admit it, but also he knows how integral she is to the rebellion,
right?
Because she's the princess of Alderaan. That's a blown up planet that was incinerated. Like that's like the stronghold of the rebellion. Like that's a huge figurehead that needs to be protected, and so that's kind of his job. Yeah. His job after Hoth is to make sure Leia's okay. And like they don't really emphasize it after Hoth, but like that's what he's doing. He's protecting Leia. And so, and trying to survive. So like there is something there. But then episode 6 they just open and it's like they just throw it all out at the beginning.
It would have been very interesting to give Leia a political arc.
I agree.
That's a perspective we don't get in the films.
I think the thing that about this movie that I wish you could see more is the meal that Vader invites Han and Leia to. Like, what would Leia? How would Leia operate in there?
Yeah.
Han's not saying a word. Lando's not saying a word.
Like if we almost got a rehash or like a follow up to the conversation that they have at the beginning of episode 4.
Yes.
Where it's this banter politically. Like, how does she navigate that now? What does that look like? Is she good at it? Has she improved at it? Like that's, I think, a fruitful development for the character.
Well, because she's finally, pitched her first battles against the Empire. She's not, the Imperial facade, the Senator facade is gone. And now she's just dealing with him and they're just in pure opposition mode. Yeah. How does she engage with him politically and then, or in conversation? And then whenever he finds out that she's his daughter, like... And like that whenever you go back and you rewatch it, it's like she's talking to her dad. You never see her interact with Vader after episode 4, really? No. Not to any meaningful degree.
They like stand in the same room, but they don't really talk.
Yeah, like that would have been so cool. Yeah. But Lucas didn't know that Leia was Vader's daughter, so of course you can't really have that, but you can still have her lead a conversation about politics or about the war or about how evil the Empire is without it having the father-daughter relationship. So I think that would have been really and I know it would have been so difficult to write because, now that we have this whole like how big Star Wars is now, like that would be such a crucial conversation to have within the whole extended lore and everything. Yeah. So how do you deal with the complexities of the state of the galaxy and what Vader wants and they weren't that's not something that they're interested in. Like that's something the Clone Wars is interested in. That's something the prequels are interested in. It is. Not episode 5. He's there to get Luke. That's why he's there.
And I think circling back just to the way Leia is really underutilized in the film. Like I think she gets development. I don't think it's sufficient. I think it's good. I think she gets close to the development of like Chewbacca. More than Chewbacca, more than C-3PO. But like probably less than Lando. And like Lando's development, a lot along with hers, a lot of it is in relation to Han. Like they're peripheral to Han's development in a lot of ways. I think, we talk about the film, and we analyze the Empire through the lens of the British Empire. But like also it's important I think to recognize that the film's not it's not super diverse. Like there's a lot of aliens, there's a lot of different alien races. There's basically one black guy and everybody else is for the most part a white dude. Like that's overwhelmingly the cast of the
including
story.
Yoda.
That's true. That's true. It's and like we mentioned, it's fun to talk about like what does this reveal about Vader? What does this reveal about the Empire? At the end of the day,
Yeah.
a lot of it is what will sell toys. So there's a profit motive. But also that same profit motive, I think, is why it's not a more diverse film. Lando's actor received death threats for appearing in the film. He's the
Yeah.
only black guy in the film. And that's like, what, 46 years ago? I mean, that's not long ago.
No.
That's very recent. So I think it's interesting the ways that diversity manifests in the film. There's a lot of non-human characters, there's a lot of droids, but it's done in a way where it facilitates selling toys, making money. I think actual diversity where it wouldn't help them make money is less important. It just isn't there in any significant way, which I think is a weakness of the film.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's part of the time that the film was released. I think for as left-wing as the politics of the films are, it's an interesting omission in a lot of ways. It's kind of the anti-colonial left without the diversity left. It falls into a very strange niche.
Yeah.
Which is interesting considering, its mass appeal. Yeah, I don't know. We talk a lot about the ways that different films do diversity. I think Empire Strikes Back doesn't.
No.
Outside of what would be profitable.
Yeah.
That's a weakness. It's a significant weakness.
Yeah, but I do think we already talked about it, but Lando being in this movie, like he elevates the film.
Yeah.
So much so like as a character, Lando is like Billy D. Williams is like the bright spot of Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah.
Like the fact that he's there.
Well, it's just that he's there.
Lando's just there.
Anything.
But it's like Billy D. Williams is such a good actor. He just reminds you, like, he plays Lando so well, even, as an older version of Lando.
Yes.
Like, it was a good, like, for introducing a new character and having him have so many different things that reveal his character.
Yeah.
All those decisions he makes, all the conversations he has, for it to go that well is honestly kind of impressive.
Yeah.
And then Yoda's just kind of like,
he's fine.
He's fine, but he's playing the wise old teacher. So,
yeah, I mean, all in all, it's a phenomenal film.
Yes,
I think its structure is imitated by a lot of sequels because it works.
Yes.
You split up the characters, you develop them in new ways, new dynamics. You develop their arcs further. You expand on the world. You expand into new places, new types of scenery, new societies. You give new perspectives on the central conflict, on crucial character relationships. You develop the themes. Incredible soundtrack.
Mm-hmm.
Just phenomenal. We haven't even mentioned that.
The soundtrack is incredible.
Soundtrack is incredible. The practical effects are phenomenal. The puppetry, the sets, the lighting, the space battles, like when they're flying between all those asteroids, astonishing for the time.
Yeah.
Those are the parts of the film that I feel like really shine. It's such a good film.
Yeah.
Such a good film. It's you can tell it was made in 1980. Mm-hmm. There are issues with diversity. Leia is completely sidelined. And there are bits of the characters like Yoda that I think don't make the most sense viewed from kind of the global Star Wars perspective when you take everything into account. But for the most part, it is an incredibly character-driven story that develops on the original in very satisfactory ways. It's not hard to see why this was the most beloved.
Well, I think it's to your point on splitting up the characters that way they can grow. Like I feel like a lot of pieces of media are scared sometimes to do that.
Yeah.
I mean, when you think about Lord of the Rings, that's what at the beginning of Two Towers, they split up the whole fellowship.
Yeah.
And then that's whenever it starts to get really, really good, because you're able to explore. Even though in the movies, it's like
Yeah.
it may take you half an hour to get back to one of the members of the party. 30, 40 minutes is what it feels like. But it's like it's enriching for the characters. It shows that you believe in the characters, and you have to split them up
Yes.
in order for them to really shine. And then whenever they come back together, it's all that more satisfying.
Yeah.
So it just showed you believe in these characters. So
Yeah. It's really well done.
what would you rate it?
What would I rate Empire Strikes Back? Dear God.
I'll let you go first.
As we talk about it, I do think it's a shame that Leia does not get an arc.
Sure. Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
especially because we discussed like Nausicaa and the Valley of the Wind. I get it's a Japanese film. I get that it's atypical for the time and the era. That is a film from the 80s that is a female-centered fantasy film.
Mhm.
It does it very well. It has a variety of female characters. Like I guess what I'm trying to say is that it's not like it was difficult to tell a female-centered story in the 80s, or to acknowledge a woman as a person, like with complex thoughts and feelings and identity separate from the men in her life in the 80s. Like that's late in the game, man.
Mm-hmm.
I guess that's it shouldn't be revolutionary in 1980. I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
I bring up Nausicaa just because we've talked about it.
Yeah.
And it's the most era adjacent thing that I can mention. Or think about that we've covered on the podcast that does that really well. It's a perspective on the world we don't get. And I think since Leia's the main political character, it's strangely a part of the world that's underdeveloped. I think it would be very and I don't want to be the guy who's like, you know what, the original trilogy needed more politics. Like I don't want to say that because I know that goes poorly in the prequels. But I think just getting a perspective on what does that part of the universe look like, I think that would have intersected really well with giving Leia her own arc. Even if it's something simple, like they have to go to Cloud City so that she can do something political.
Or just lead. I liked whenever she was leading the pilots, and like people were looking to her. Like whenever she's in the control room in A New Hope.
Yeah.
You know, in the room, she's not necessarily giving direct orders, but she's there as a leader of the rebellion, you know. And it kind of shows that like the time for politics is over.
Yes.
The war's started.
Yeah.
There is no vein. There's no channel for her to operate in the political realm anymore.
Yeah.
And they're just trying to survive. And so in this movie, whenever you're talking about survival and Han's the pilot of the ship,
yeah,
he's trying to repair the ship.
It's
and
tough.
She's a princess of Alderaan, and she's a senator who is not a mechanic.
Yeah.
Like it's you know, now they constructed the plot that way, so they could have constructed it a different way.
I see how the logic of the plot arises as like a natural development of the first film, and how that does severely restrict Leia's influence and agency.
Well, she's
the princess of a planet that doesn't exist.
Yeah,
like what political power do you have there? It limits her agency in the story.
She's kind of like she's I don't know. She's I guess kind of like Katniss in the Hunger Games, where she's so valuable as this figurehead, this symbol of the rebellion. You know, she lost everything, and she's pushing forward.
Right.
So, I mean, that she does have some virtue there just by existing with the rebellion. But you explore in Andor how even Mon Mothma realizes she comes to a point. Like she makes decisions at the at the end of the series.
Yeah.
But her main skill and expertise is no longer needed.
Yeah.
And she now has to morph into a wartime leader. And so in Empire, they're just not talking about the war. Yet, like they in episode 6, they deal with it there, and that has its own issues with Leia. But in this movie specifically, like her skill set just isn't like required as much.
Yeah.
And the problem is there isn't any other underutilized character. That's the problem. That's the
really
problem.
what it boils down to.
It's like there's not.
Chewbacca?
She's the
Chewbacca?
but he doesn't speak English.
I know.
And he helps fix the Falcon.
And you can argue that characters like R2 get more development than Leia.
Yeah.
And he also doesn't speak English.
Yeah.
So it's tough.
So yeah, it's like he doesn't speak basic, I should say. Doesn't speak basic. So it's hard to convey without subtitles the whole time.
Basic human empire.
Basic, yeah. That's probably problematic in and of itself.
I
Calling it basic.
guess I know we're trying to keep the discussion centered on Empire.
You are.
I am. I'm trying to keep the ship anchored. You're trying to take it out to sea. But I'll touch on Andor briefly. Andor is a significantly more diverse project than Empire Strikes Back.
Yeah.
In every conceivable way. It really explores what the world looks like for women in that society, for various different races, whether that's human or alien, for different sexualities, different ages, different cultures, different languages. We were just talking like, oh, everybody speaks basic. In Andor, they don't.
Yes.
There is incredible diversity in Andor. And I think the only thing I would say to that is it is far more beneficial to have that diversity represented, and it is a good thing. I am all for it. The only thing that I would be a little bit hesitant with is that I think Andor has diversity for the same reason Empire doesn't, which is profitability. I think that there's been a shift in the culture for how representation sells. And I think that oftentimes what a corporation like Disney will do is include diverse characters for the sake of selling something, not because they believe in it as a virtue. So I think Andor does a better job with representation, but I would caveat that with the important note that they are doing diversity well for the same reason Empire doesn't, which is that they want to make money. And I think that it is problematic to go only with what the culture is stating is good or stating is profitable. That can't be your moral compass, because that will lead you to being undiverse in the 80s and super diverse in the 20s. It has to be a moral principle. I believe in diversity because it's a good thing, not because it's profitable. And I think it's good to keep that in mind. When you see a piece of media that is diverse, it's like, it is good to be diverse as a moral principle. Diversity is a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
Are these companies willing to be diverse when it's unprofitable to do so?
Mm-hmm.
Oftentimes the answer is no.
Yeah.
And I think that that's not something that's changed in the last 50 years.
And that's kind of revealed by how they respond to pushback. To varying degrees. Some of them hold their ground, and other ones cave.
Yeah.
And so,
well, and then you get into the weeds, and it's like, well, what minorities are represented? Mm-hmm. Which ones aren't? Which ones are deemed unacceptable to put to film, and why? And I think often the answer is which ones won't make you money? And in the 80s, that answer was one thing, and nowadays it's different. There are different minorities that are unprofitable to put to screen. I think profitability can't be your North Star for that, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
All the jokes, all of that set aside, for as bad as the Empire is in this film, is this white British evil empire. I think for us, I think we're little better if profit is our only guiding star on that. Mm-hmm. Should be a moral principle.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's my take on it.
No, it's an insightful take on Empire Strikes Back. So
all that to say, what would I rate it? I'm gonna give it a 9. I'm gonna give it a 9. The issues of diversity are substantial. The more we talk about it, I love the film. I watched it a whole bunch as a kid. Just thinking about the film, it gets me, in a positive state of mind. It would have really been nice to explore some of that. The more we talk about it, it's like that is an issue. It's not an issue that I think I was as aware of as a kid.
Sure.
But revisiting it, it's like it would have been nice to explore that part of the world.
Sure.
Shouldn't have been revolutionary, I guess. I'm gonna give it a 9. I'll get flack for that. It's fine. It's a phenomenal film for all of the reasons I've described. Cutting edge tech, beautiful music, astonishing sets, strong character-driven story, thematically cohesive that expands on the world in every conceivable way. I think some extra diversity would have been nice. Maybe a little bit unrealistic to expect in the 80s. Doesn't make it a virtue not to do it.
Yeah. No, that's true. That is true. I'm gonna give it a 10.
All that stuff I said about diversity. All that. Josiah is like, well, that's fine. I don't care.
I came into this conversation with a 10.
Yeah, the needle didn't move at all.
The needle...
At no point during that conversation were you like, you know what? Maybe I'm going to go like with the 9.8.
We don't... Do we do decimal points?
We can. Never said we couldn't.
Start now?
But
you want to start now?
you don't...
I mean, yeah, I'd give it a 9.8.
You don't
if we're doing decimals, I'll do 9.8.
Okay, yeah.
That's a good number.
I offered you an out.
That's a good number. If we're doing decimals, that makes it a little bit easier. That way I don't give like K-pop Demon Hunters an 8 and then like another like super serious, super deep, insightful movie an 8. You know, like we're not, that way our scale is kind of better. But no, in my heart, it's always going to be a 10 out of 10.
I get that.
It's a 10 out of 10. Like
It's fine.
It's the best Star Wars movie.
It is.
And
I will stand by that. It's the best Star Wars film.
Yes. And yeah. Yeah, it's 10 for me. 9.8 if we're going to do decimals.
Okay. That's
because if we're doing decimals, nothing is ever perfect.
Yeah.
So I'll do a 9.8. But I don't know if I'll rate anything a 9.9.
It's just something.
I don't know that I ever will.
Something an Imperial would say. That's fine.
Yes.
I'm sure that they would all rate this film a 10 out of 10. They win.
They'd be forks choked to death if they didn't.
Yeah.
Like they would all be killed.
This
is Vader's best film. Like
yeah, but okay. But is it as good as he is in Rogue One?
No, Rogue One's the best Star Wars movie, so
Checkmate.
I'm done.
Checkmate.
That one is a 9.9.
I know that this film has Vader doing really emotional, character-driven stuff, but in Rogue One, he shows up and looks cool for a couple of scenes. So
he does.
Who am I to say? Who are you to say? It's impossible to say.
Except for yes, yeah. Well, I mean, yes, he looks super cool. Not very smart. He's not very smart in that scene.
Looking cool is basically better than being a good, well-written character.
It's true. It's true.
Not to take pot shots at Rogue One at the very end of the long podcast about Empire Strikes Back or anything.
I'm just saying, you wouldn't have this problem, Vader, if you had just taken the Death Star plans. If you used the Force instead of holding that guy to the ceiling, you just took the will card and went, nope, we're good. We're done. See, unless he wasn't paying attention, which is even worse.
If only there was like a 6 to 8 episode Disney Plus show that definitively stated something along the lines of Darth Vader is able to use the Force to stop ships of that exact make and model from flying away.
Oh, no, that's true.
If only there was something like that.
Yeah.
That would really add to the scene.
Or if there was like
something like that.
Hundreds of hours worth of media that showed that Jedi can lift a little floppy disk.
Or that.
And take it from somebody's hands.
That too.
Instead of holding the guy to the ceiling.
Yeah, but he was aura farming.
That's true. Whenever you're in the middle of aura farming, you can't go move and do something else.
Like, he has to check stuff off the list. One at a time.
He has all,
through the hallway.
In Clash of Clans, you only have so many building slots. Unless you purchase more with 300 gems apiece. So he couldn't do it. He was aura farming.
That's true. He couldn't have done it.
No.
He didn't have the Clash of Clans expertise.
No, he didn't. And hopefully he gets there. because he deserves it.
Good film. Good film. Contrary to what this discussion might have led you to believe, we don't hate Star Wars.
To be honest with you, I don't know what this conversation led you to believe.
I have no idea.
I have no clue. Like, I know our ratings tell you something, but like, we went everywhere, and that's okay.
Yeah,
it's what we do.
So. This was a fun conversation. I had a lot of fun talking about the film.
I did
in
too.
A variety of ways.
Yeah, this was really fun. So, please like and subscribe. Suggest more movies in the comment section below, and we'll see you next time.